RFD-TV presents Gentle Giant with Pam Minnick and Katie Kaufman.
This is a very special episode of Gentle Giants as we take you to Iceland. My grandparents are from here, so this week we're exploring my heritage and the hardy horses in this tiny country.
Icelandic horses may be the purest of all equine breeds. They came here on ships with the Vikings nearly 1,000 years ago. The genetics remain pure and the breed is virtually disease-free.
They sure are. This hardy horse with 2 hair coats are able to withstand the harsh Arctic winters and extreme weather conditions. They were the primary source of transportation until about 80 years ago.
Iceland is about the size of the state of Kentucky, has a population of just over 300,000 people, and has more than 80,000 horses. When you get outside the biggest city, Reykjavik, you'll see horses in almost everyone's field.
The horse industry is such a vital part of the economy and tourism that there's a program underwritten by the Icelandic government. We visited with Jelena Ohm at Horses of Iceland.
The Icelandic horse was brought over to the island of Iceland when it was first settled. So we like to think that the Vikings kind of took their best animals with them across the travels of the sea. And that was basically the beginning of the isolation of the Icelandic horse. And from there on, it was the beginning of the breed. So since we can't import any other breeds into Iceland, this is a regulation that was put up a long time ago to keep the country very disease-free. We have a very purebred breed that's been purebred over 1,000 years. It was means of transportation, it was means of food, it was of course always a companion, always has been. But the car didn't arrive to Iceland until the mid-century, so that was the only means that the people had here. So, and that's of course where the gaits came also from the Icelandic horse, is due to having to travel long distances. We put emphasis on the tote. So it's very smooth and you can travel very easily for days on end, which is what we really do still today. But with the evolution, basically cars coming in and things changing, the workhorse evolved more into a pleasure horse, a riding horse, and companion and sport horse. So that's where that evolution came. But the origin of it is that it was a workhorse, definitely. So the character has always been a huge emphasis in our breeding. It really needs to have the will to work with its person and want to do the things you ask him to do. But they can have really strong characters because, of course, at the same time they were. It's a very much of a fittest survive environment for a really long time here in Iceland. So you have that basically working together, which makes it a lot of fun to work with them. And you hear that a lot from trainers who are working with different horse breeds. They really love the characters of the Icelandic horse because they're so quick to learn and they are really smart and they like to work with you. In order to preserve the breed and keep the island extremely disease-free, we have a big focus also for the tourists that you're not allowed to bring used leatherware and things like that, because we have a very delicate ecosystem basically. We don't have to vaccinate our horses. They are extremely healthy and once we export an Icelandic horse, it's never allowed to come home. So for our big competitions like the World Championships that are always happening on the mainland in Europe, you basically have built up and trained your partner for many, many years, and then you get to experience the creme de la creme, but then you have to say goodbye. So it's heartbreaking, but it's part of what really makes the Icelandic horse pure and special here from Iceland. So it's really unique. They come from a country that's extremely harsh. Iceland is you have volcanic lava, you have basically little trees at this point, and so little shelter. So they have actually adapted to this climate and really evolved with the country. So we always like to say that Iceland has shaped these horses. So they're extremely sure-footed, and you can ride them over big, rocky areas, and they have no troubles with it. They don't stumble often or fall or things like that. They really watch out where they're going because they grew up in this environment. And they have a double coat, so in the winter they have really thick and they get really furry, and that's when people think they're these cute horses, but they're actually quite powerful. And then they shed all this fur in the summer, and then they're the shiny, different version of themselves. The Icelandic horse, of course, has 5 different gaits, and that's what makes it so unique and a lot of fun to ride and train. And we do put as much emphasis also on the quality of the ground gaits. So the walk needs to be good quality, long strides, forward going. We do want a good trot with a lot of speed and suspension and good 2-beat, and we want a good canter and a good gallop. So there we have our ground gaits. The most unique thing about the Icelandic horse is the tolt. So this is a 4-beat lateral gait, which means there's always 1 foot on the ground at the time, 1 or 2 feet, which makes it gives you a rolling action, basically. So we can ride this at a very slow speed and high collected, and the horse really comes in underneath himself and raises in the front and should be proud and loose in the front, and we have leg action, which is natural. It's been bred like this for many years, and is not something that we don't use any harsh methods in our training. And then, of course, we have the flying pace, which is really the creme de la creme, you could say. So this is just a 2-beat lateral gait where they have a flying phase in between, and we race in this gait. So this is not a gait that you ride for a long time and take in speed. It's high speed, it's high power, it's go and then you slow down. A good pacer gives everything at that time. We compete with this gait at 100 meter, 150 and 250 meters. So those are the distances that we are competing in. And then of course, if you have a good 5-gaiter, it's something that you could do on a trail as well, and when you have a good straight lane, you let it rip, basically.
When we return, we'll see how horses enhance Icelandic tourism.
And I'll continue to take you on a tour of the country of my grandparents. Stay with us. Gentle Giants will be right back. Welcome back to Gentle Giants. All around Iceland, there are horse operations, large and small, where visitors can explore the countryside on the back of an Icelandic horse.
We spend the night at the Hotel El Hester, which means volcanic horse in Icelandic.
Where early in the morning, almost 100 horses are saddled for guests to bundle up and begin their riding adventure.
In the summer we have up to 100 guests, and then we have the long tours going out. We have 360 horses that we use here for the trips in the summer. Of course they don't go out every day, all of them. We choose the horses for the trips. We know which horses need a day off. We know which horses can go longer tours and shorter tours. And then the guides come and pick them up from the fence, take them out, brush them, saddle them. They know which saddles they should use on which horses and what every horse needs. And then our guests arrive and we take care of them, dress them properly, give them a helmet and maybe boots and an overall, everything they need. And then they get out, get their introduction for the safety reasons. And after that, we find the right horse for everybody. The guests are very different. We have, I think, 80% guests that have never been on a horse before, especially in the short tours around the farm. But and what they expect from us, of course, the safety, and that is, of course, on the top of the list all the time. Safety, that's why they get instructions and everything, and we also give the instructions to people that have been riding before, because it's not done the same everywhere.
If you want to stop, you just have to pull the reins, okay? If you want to go forward, you squeeze.
I always say, as a horse trainer, I say it's so easy to work with the Icelandic horse because they think like a horse. They grow up outside in the natural environment and they just behave like a horse. They have the instincts like a horse, which they just get if they grow up outside and together with their friends. Very calm from inside. It's not that we need to teach them to relax. They just feel good. They're so good horses. You can see they get different riders every day and they just take so good care of the riders. And you have, of course, the riders and they're like, oh, I don't know anything. And I always say, yeah, it doesn't matter because the horses, they know it all, of course. And then some people say, yeah, but these horses are automatic. Of course, the horses, they learn how it works and they know that they should just follow. So, but still you are on a horse in the open field. So the horse need to know how to do it because most of the riders do not do it, and that's just for the safety of both of them. We have tours down to the beach, and then they ride by the river and down to the beach. It's a 5 to 6 hour ride, and then we pick them up at the beach. And then we have trips up to the mountain to Reykjadalur, which means steamy valley, and there's a hot river, and the people ride up there and put the horse in a paddock, and then they take a bath in the hot river. They take their swimming suit with them, and then they come back down here. I had a foal born the other day, and it had been good weather, and I was waiting for it to come all the time. And then it was in the beginning of August. It went down to 5 degrees and northern wind, and it was so cold. And that was the night when the mare decided to give birth to the foal. And I came there like half an hour after the foal was born, and he was still wet, and he was just lying there and shivering. But he will be strong. The Icelandic horse has, of course, 5 gaits, which makes it so special. And we have all the basic gaits, like walk, trot and gallop, also called canter. But we have 2 additional gaits, the tölt and the pace. We don't use the pace on daily basis, it's just used for speed races. But the tölt is the most famous and comfortable comfortable gait of the Icelandic horse. Very soft to sit and it's quite easy to ride it. If you have a nice horse, you just need to hold the rein a little, push with your legs and enjoy.
With the comfortable tolt and flying pace, it's easy to cover several miles, and the visitors love their experience.
When we return, we'll visit an equestrian center where Icelandic horses are being prepared for competition.
Stay with us. Welcome back to Gentle Giants. Just north of Reykjavik in Molsbar, the Equestrian Center is home to several successful trainers.
And all of them are preparing Icelandic horses for competition.
Iceland has very much put emphasis, and the Icelandic horse community, on education and having educated trainers and riding instructors. So here in Iceland you actually have a university level bachelor degree, which is an equine science degree. So the teachers that are graduated from Holy University, they go out into the community and teach children from the beginning all the way up to adulthood, if people choose to just be, pleasure riders, but they still have this very good basic knowledge about building up the Icelandic horse correctly and anatomically.
We have riding lessons, and then we also have lessons in the school where we learn about what we can do with the horses in the riding lessons, and also just about the Icelandic horse in general. He of course has 5 gaits. He has the tilt and the flying pace, and he's also just very calm, and they're very sweet and have really good temper. And I don't know, they're just so much different from all the other horses. They look different, they're smaller and more tough, I think, because they're used to bad conditions, weather conditions and stuff. And also they still have, in the summer we always put them out in the fields and sometimes in the winter, so they always get time to just be themselves as well. They've developed really tough feet and they're very sure-footed, so it's very easy for them to go around on all kinds of ground.
People think they are ponies because according to their size they are basically ponies, but when you get to know them they are definitely no small horses. I'm quite a tall rider on these small horses, but they are really strongly built, but they have been in this country for more than 1,000 years, and these big grown-up men and women, of course, obviously also, but have been riding them, and they can manage that. They have shown that during the years. Stallion, his name is Tindur from Efri Þverá, and I have been training him since he was 3 years old. Broke him in, and now he's 8, so I have been training him for like 5 years now. And I have been competing him 3 seasons and showed him in breeding assessment. And the gaits that I was riding now were these 4 gaits. So tilt, and that's his best gait, and he has the highest score in the breeding assessment for for Telt. So it's really comfortable. It's because they always have at least one leg in the ground. There's no suspension, so they kind of float along the ground, and that makes it so extremely comfortable. You don't jump in the saddle, and also because many of them, for example Tinder, he's really soft and elastic in his movements, so that makes it even softer for the rider to sit. They are quite fast. Yeah, they can go really fast in Telt, and they can also go really slow. They usually have a really big range of speed in the gaits. They are so powerful, but still so gentle and cooperative. And then of course the gaits, they are just lovely.
We want to thank all of you for watching such a special episode of Gentle Giants. This was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I love learning about the horses, but I especially love learning about my heritage, seeing where the Vikings brought these horses nearly 1,000 years ago. We want to thank Horses of Iceland, Hotel Eldhustar, and all of our guests for sharing the information about these beautiful horses with us.
Icelandic Horses can be found in the U.S. from coast to coast and even Alaska. You can find an Icelandic horse club near you at Icelandics.org.
And if you're adventurous, plan a trip to this beautiful country for a first-hand look at these little gentle horses with big hearts. Join us right back here next week on Gentle Giants.
And in the meantime, see what we're up to on our Facebook page.
Bye now.